I have to say that last night I could certainly laugh about, well, nervous laugh rather, about some of the project results. And now I'm just getting very uncomfortable with them. First of all, it's been kind of a long day anyway. And secondly, as as a researcher, I have to be as objective and as fair as possible, but things are just going way too far on all sides. For example, and I talked about this with some of the comments last night, but now it's unfortunately getting to the point where one of the voters went on to another one of my soda head polls and started some anti-messianic activity there. This poll wasn't research related or anything, but he had to, his vote is still counted on my research poll, but he had to go as far as, by the way, I'm sorry for breathing into the microphone here. Anyway, so he had to decide to go ahead for whatever reason and get an anti-messianic activity on another one of my polls, and I had to block him, so his vote is still counted, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to vote, hopefully he's not going to be able to vote on any of my polls in the future. And I caught some of his comments. It's just really sad about just some of the ways that people are going on this. And I mean, I can read you again some of the comments, and I mean, even though I don't like it that some people are attacking my question, the researcher has to take when a person attacks their question, because the validity of the question in a research project is fine to attack for the researchee, but I'm not sure where in research ethics it ever says that it's okay for the researchee to attack the researcher. I already had someone call me an imbecile, and just things like, well, I mean, I didn't have anyone call, I didn't have any, well, people were engaging in, like, yeah, people were even attacking other people. For example, they said, let's see, one person said something about people who identify as Muslim, and there were a couple of people who identify as Muslim who voted in my poll, so I had to tell him, not to attack anyone on the poll. And, people were getting off into random tangents, like, let's see, and he was getting into stuff that was just totally, it's his honest answer, but he was getting into stuff that was totally irrelevant to the project. And let's see, so some of these people were getting off into random tangents, and it just, I'm sitting there going, you know what, this is a research project, and I could regret doing this research project, but at the same time, I started a research project early because I was really passionate about the question, and I have a paper due on December 12th, and, by the way, I'm just typing because I'm chatting with a Facebook friend while I'm doing this too, but I have a paper due on December 12th. I already started a research project. The research project at this point is what it is, and I'm not gonna, try to change what happened, but once I get the 1,000 or so votes that I need, and at this point it's just like, I just even tried to tell people, like, please don't attack each other, and please don't attack the researcher, and it's just so sad how all I'm doing is asking a research question, and all I'm saying is that Messianic Jews are simply Jews who, believe in Jesus as a Messiah, and whether or not you agree with them or whatever, I'm just saying that Messianic Jews are Messianic Jews. And, I mean, people already know what I am. I made no secret. You can see on my profile what I am, and I've said pretty much all over the web what I am. And whatever I am, or whatever I am, or whatever I identify as, or what have you, just does not matter to the research project, because the researcher is not supposed to get involved in what he or she is researching. And the only reason that I'm getting involved is because I'm saying, hey, this is a research project. we're not supposed to attack each other, we're not supposed to attack. And I could just read you some of the comments, and I mean, it is just getting really sad. And I mean, people are just being smart alecks, and like I said, getting into irrelevant tangents, and like for example, the person who called me an imbecile, someone decided to go off into a tangent about what imbecile was, and then someone else said about imbecile, okay, it was a medical category. Well, that's not related to the question I'm asking. I'm asking how tolerant is a person of Messianic Jews, and I gave very specific answers that people could vote on. The answers I gave were, I'm actually a Messianic Jew myself. I'm very tolerant toward Messianic Jews. I'm tolerant toward Messianic Jews. I'm neither tolerant nor intolerant toward Messianic Jews. / I'm apathetic in regards to Messianic Jews. I am not tolerant toward Messianic Jews. / I am intolerant toward Messianic Jews. I am very intolerant toward Messianic Jews. I don't know how I feel toward Messianic Jews, and I prefer not to say how I feel toward Messianic Jews. Now, if I were going to vote in this poll, just because I am the researcher, I would say I prefer not to say how I feel about Messianic Jews, and then the comment that I would leave is, well, I'm the researcher, I'm really not supposed to get involved in this poll anyway, and it's hard, and one of the things that I wanted to do was go into journalism, and one of the things that I was thinking about doing too was being a lawyer, and I mean, if I were like a lawyer or a commentator or whatever, I could get much more involved in specific cases, or if I were a commentator, I could have much more of an opinion on things. But if I'm going to get into journalism and I'm not going to go into the commentary side, or if I'm not going to be a lawyer, then I have, and even if I were a lawyer, I would have to be as objective as possible and build my case on the evidence. And just looking at some, like I said, I mean, even some of these comments, I think I'm just getting my immune system worn down. And I mean, the disclaimer, the disclaimer I had to put was, and people are just getting into irrelevant tangents, and like I said, people are attacking each other, and this one person apologized, then he got into it again, and it just amazes me. I'm like, people can't even be, for lack of a better term, people can't be decent for a research project. Like I said to them, have your answers, have what you're going to have, vote honestly. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to vote one way just because. And like, you know, someone even accused me, and let me see if I can find a comment real quick. Someone said, and I'm just saying too, and I had to explain it like, you know, Jewish can be an ethnic category. And I mean, also, I didn't mention this in the poll. I probably should have given a more extensive definition. I should have said, well, Karaite Jews and some other Jewish groups go patrilineally. Most groups go matrilineally. Messianic Jews go patrilineally and or matrilineally. And then there's this whole debate, and I probably maybe should have gotten into that when I was asking the question. And because some person, and I'm, for lack of a better term, I'm not going to waste my time looking at their link, but some person accused me of, I'm going to go back and read the comment because I believe it was on, let me try the first page because I had sorted the comments by newest and I wanted to see where people were. And I mean, people got angry at me too. Like they said, I very much resent being asked this question. There are a heck of a lot more important issues to discuss today than someone's religion. And I told her, by the way, that wasn't the comment that I was going to get reading, but I said to her, your answer was entirely voluntary. You do not have to answer the question. Your answer and data is being used, I should have said are being used, only for research purposes and neither for nor against you. And like I said, it's just so sad how people do not have the decency to realize that when I say research, okay, this is what the person said. He said, I prefer not to say how I feel toward Messianic Jews. Then he said, your explanation below shows you want your explanation below shows you only want the brain dead to respond as the comments I read prove. If you ever actually decide to learn, to think for yourself, start here. And then he gave me a link, and okay, it's Willow, whatever it is. Like I said, as I said to him, I'm going to ask you not to engage in attacking the researcher or anyone else. As I have said, this is for a research project, and I also think that you stated how you feel, whether or not that was your intention, because he said that I wanted only the quote-unquote brain dead answer, and then I said to him, well, what the original explanation I gave was, Messianic Jews are simply Jews who believe in the Jewish Jesus of Nazareth as the Jewish Messiah, just as the Lubavitchim believe in Menachem Mendel Schneerson as Rabbi Moshiach, and Messianic Jews, Jewish Christians, were simply considered Essenes for a while. And if you go to Jew FAQ, which does link to anti-Messianic websites, by the way, and I'm just saying that factually, and just for a heads up, if you read about, if I Google, not Google, but if I search for Essenes on this website, it says, let's see, it says, best bets, all hits, movements of Judaism in ancient times. You have to find some Essenes, and I just had it. It says, okay, it says, the Pharisaic school of thought is the only one that survived the destruction of the temple. The Zealots were killed off during the War of Rome. The Sadducees could not survive without the temple, which was the center of their religion. The Essenes, who were never very numerous, were apparently killed off by the Romans. They were easily recognizable in their isolated communities. Some think that the Essenes may have been absorbed into Christianity, which, as I said, shares some of their mystical teachings. And let's see, she talks about I'm not sure. Oh, here we go. It says the Essenes were an ascetic and mystical group devoted to strict discipline. They lived in isolation from the world. The Dead Sea Scrolls are believed to be the product of an Essene sect. Some scholars believe that early Christianity was influenced by the mystical and hermetical teachings of the Essenes. And if an anti-Messianic website is saying this, and she's just saying that early Christianity was influenced by mystical and hermetical teachings of the Essenes, according to some scholars, and Messianic Jews are, for the most part, ethnically Jewish or of Jewish descent. You do have people who are, for lack of a better term, Gentile, and they identify as Messianic Jews. Like, if you look at Glenn Campbell, he's tagged as a Messianic Jew because he identifies as a Messianic Jew, although he's Gentile, unless there's something that people don't know, like if he were the second widest known Jewish country singer next to Kinky Friedman, though on a totally unrelated subject, I assume that will be Toby Keith probably. But anyway, so the point is, I wasn't asking the research question that I was asking so that people could attack each other or engage in anti-Messianic activity or engage in anti-Semitic activity, which some people already did. There was a horrible question, not a horrible question, but just a horrible comment about someone said that if Iran nuked Israel and if Iran nuked all other Jewish people, then it just really got out of hand. And as I said, I'm disappointed that my research project devolved into what it devolved into, and once I get the 1,000 necessary votes for the normal curve minimum votes that I needed, then I'm just going to go ahead and close the poll. I would have liked to have printed the lightning report at 1,000 or so votes and then maybe continue to poll and said, okay, hey, the research part is done. I printed the lightning report at this date and time and whatever, now I can vote, and now the poll's ongoing and whatever. But unfortunately, even at the research project stage, unfortunately I can't, obviously I cannot enforce research project decorum, and like I said, there was that one comment where it was apparently removed. Like I said last night, let's see if I can find it in sort by, and then if I go to sort the comments, or least raised, most raised, oldest, but there was one comment that began something along the lines of, quote unquote, fuck you, soda head. I'm sure that someone reported it because I couldn't find the comment, and I was talking about it last night. And it's just, he said, like, soda head had asked the question. It's like, it's not even soda head. I didn't say that, but I'm just sitting there going, it's just amazing how this research project evolved. By the way, I'm going to see how many, I'm just looking statistically, and just because I'm curious, I know that some people did retweet the, okay, top all, save search, advanced search, embed to search. So I'm just curious, I know that some people did retweet it for me, and I do appreciate that. Other people are sharing it for me, and I do appreciate that. And it just amazes me, like I said. All I was doing was a research project, and I obviously have my own opinions on how things are going, and it just said that all sides, or at least people from all sides, had to engage in just things that were not conducive to a research project at all. And I guess for one thing, in the future, I'm not trying to be rude to Soda Head, because it's not their fault. It's unfortunately the voters' fault, the commenters' fault, and because I mean, some of them decided, not all the commenters, just the one who did not follow research project decorum, and they got into just attacking each other and attacking me, and I mean, I mean, like, even one person, I'm like, just, jeez. I mean, some people on both sides, or on all sides, really, I just wish they had voted and kept their opinions to themselves, because it just really, it didn't help that, like I said, it didn't help that they broke research decorum, and the one comment that was removed in terms of like when the person said, quote unquote, fuck you, soda head. Someone must have reported that, because, like I said, when I went to find it, I didn't find it, and it's just like, it's just amazing that people can't even do research projects without having their research stuff devolve into, and what, by the way, I'm multitasking too, because I said that I was Facebook chatting with someone, now I'm checking my blog a little bit. And, I mean, it's just amazing how I can't even do a research project, or how anyone else can do a research project without getting attacked. And it's like, you know, the one person called me an imbecile, and then it's just amazing. It's like, all I'm trying to do is a research project for school. I was very passionate about the topic that I researched about, and like I said, I have my own opinions on it, but I have to stay out of it. But I couldn't stay out of it anymore once people were attacking each other. I mean, I didn't put a vote in there, and I didn't comment on the poll itself, but what I was saying is, like, hey, let's not attack each other, let's stay on topic, let's not attack the researcher. And then, like, someone said that the question was very important, and I said that he had a right to, well, okay, that was a comment about where he called me brain dead, or he said that I want only brain dead people to respond to this. And I'm trying to find the comment again where about he called the question stupid, and this is what I had to say back to him, because someone attacked him and said, well, I mean, it's just, as I said, it's amazing that I can't even do a research project without people just being, I mean, what else do I have to do to drive the point home? When someone's trying to do a research project, unless they make clear that their research is with, for lack of a better term, an agenda or an ulterior motive, whether the ulterior motive is good or bad or what have you, Like I said, all I'm doing is a research project. I went out of my way to link to a YouTube video that explained the research project. I went out of my way to write a script up for the research project, and I'm gonna open it right now. I'm gonna read you the original script so that nobody has to question what the heck I was doing when I linked to the video with the research project, or I'm going to read you a part of it just so you understand that I clearly said that this was for a research project. I didn't try to blindside anybody. I didn't try to. I said very clearly. I can read you excerpts. I said, let's see. The poll is a Soda Head created poll, and it has been and is being promoted by me on my private and public Facebook pages, my Twitter account, Yahoo, and my Blogspot blog. At the time it was, and then later I added, let's see, I added YouTube, obviously, because I made the video for it, and then I posted on Soda Head's Facebook page, and I said, you know, I'm asking you to share the poll as well. I said, you know, I appreciate your sharing and participation. For those who participated, trying to get as many votes possible, I need at least 25 votes in order to analyze the data, for instance, demographic information. Well, I didn't realize that I needed 25 Soda Head panel votes, and then I got the email, and then I talked to Soda Head, and then I said, and at least 3,000 people for an acceptable research project sample. Well, I went ahead and I went looked back at what I wrote down, and it's 1,000 people, not 3,000 people. And I said, otherwise I will not affect or ask you to affect the vote in any way, shape, form, circumstance, manner, or fashion. I also, as I explained on the trial run poll for my project, I also will not be responding to your votes or comments on the poll. Your comments will be considered case studies. Well, unfortunately, I did have to respond in terms of I had to stop at I had to ask people to stop attacking each other, and I gave I said I gave the link to the trial poll to see if Soda Head would be a good polling resource. I gave the link to the poll itself, and it's just, I mean, I explained, and I said, so please vote in this poll and or share this poll with your friends and or others if you can. And I explained very clearly that it was voluntary, and I'm just, I mean, what else can I say? As I said, I'm just stunned that my research project devolved into something where, hey, the poll can't continue after the research project phase, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to close this poll after I reach 1,000 votes, because sadly enough, people cannot be, for lack of a better term, and I got this 504 gateway timeout. Maybe Soda Head's being slow. I don't know. Okay. So it was being slow. 344 votes. I thought it was 345. Okay, so maybe maybe I just read wrong. So I don't know. Does that mean that one person I had to block on another poll, his votes no longer counted? I don't know. I'm guessing his votes still counted since his comments are still there in regards to the research poll. And anyway, and then view the results and demographics. So, and then view the lightning report. I'm assuming his votes still counted, and that Soda Head was just being slow when it got the gateway timeout. As I said, I am just amazed that my research project devolved, and I mean, I got some very interesting answers, and I mean, if I have to, after I do this paper, after I do this whole research project, I will put the research paper on my blog, and I'll say, hey, like, you know, if I have to before I close out the poll, and I'll just maybe I'll just print the lightning report at 1,000 or however many votes, and then the last vote will be mine, and that won't be counted in the lightning report. And I'll just say, like, and I'll be like, hey, if you want to see, or maybe I'll do a YouTube video like this. I'll be like, hey, if you want to see the paper, if you want to see whatever it is, if you want to just do whatever, then here's the link to my blog, and here's the link to the research paper. And anyway, it's, except for the literature review and except for other sites and what have you that I'm quoting, the writing is mine, and hey, you can check it out here. And so, and clearly, as far as I can be in regards to research ethics and decorum and what have you, trying to be as transparent as possible and trying to be fair to all sides. And, I mean, there are a few cases where I've had to make examples and say, like, hey, please don't attack voters and please don't this and that. And, I mean, I can't tell everybody to stop, but hopefully I can make a few examples and say, hey, stick to research decorum, please. So like I said, I'm just amazed that, unfortunately, there are people out there who don't get that all I'm trying to do is a research project, and all I'm trying to do is really just, I mean, like I said, I'm passionate about the topic, I have my own views and conclusions and what have you, and you're going to see that in the research paper, but I mean, as far as the project goes, I don't want people intimidating each other, attacking others, and as I said, I'm just, there's no other way that I can drive the point home that, if nothing else, my research project proves, unfortunately, that there are some people who cannot be decent and participate in a research project in a way that's appropriate.